Because I look at people and I was like, you were dumb enough to do it. Deal with it.
Facebook is drama. It's high school drama. It really is. How many pastors have gotten in trouble because of Facebook?
Yeah.
How many marriages got in trouble with Facebook?
Right.
I don't do Facebook.
I was helping with the youth one day. I looked around. I thought, my pacemaker's older than every kid in here. Yeah.
I think a lot of Americans, even, dare I say, American Christians, I say that loosely, will sell their souls to maintain a lifestyle if it comes down to that. And that, I think, is very dangerous.
One of the things that Verna and I have done over the years when we find ourselves in difficult situations is that we will go through the litany of the various times that God has helped us. And we express those out loud to each other, and they serve as a reminder to us that God was through us in this situation, and this situation, and this situation. What makes us think he's not going to be with us in this one as well?
The next week after that first state championship game, they joined the church. And their words were this: you cared enough to drive 6 hours for a kid that's not yours. That tells me something.
Hi, I'm Chris McNeil, and this is Ministry on the Move, a podcast interviewing pastors and ministers across the USA. As the father of the McNeils, I get to travel across the country singing the gospel, and one day it occurred to me that you all need to know each other. You are a part of the extended McNeil family and the body of Christ. Join me on a journey to churches of all shapes and sizes, different parts of the country, and see just what it takes to shepherd the body of Christ. For more information on the McNeils, you can visit us at mcneilmusic.tv or mcneilmusic.com. Thanks for joining us, and here's the episode. Hey y'all, this is Chris. It is good to be back with you. This particular episode, the McNeils found ourselves up in Oklahoma, and we were singing at the Choctaw Nation Easter celebration. This would have been on Palm Saturday, I guess, of 2025. And from there, we went to Durant, actually Armstrong, which is just right outside of Durant, Oklahoma, and sat down. And this was an interesting interview because unlike most of the other interviews that I've done, the pastor or the minister that I was speaking to is typically the guy. He is the existent pastor, but this one was not. This time, is Darrell Bunch, who is the interim pastor, and actually not even really truly an interim. So for many of you, this kind of gets into some denominational differences and how you find new pastors, new leadership. And I found this fascinating because in the Baptist tradition, normally the way that they would do it would be to put together a search committee immediately, and they would find an interim pastor, and then they would go out and find their permanent pastor. That's not what was happening here at this church. They were going through what is normally called a deliberate interim period. The design is to sort of lose the distance, lose the lack of distance between the last pastor and the next pastor, and for the church to intentionally sit down and think over who they are and who they ought to be, and are the changes that they need to make before they take on this new obligation. And I found this really quite a compelling interview from that perspective. I know that there's a lot of times that you're just like, hey, the next guy, the line forms to the left, come on, we'll take you. And maybe that's the right way. Maybe that's the Lord's leading. And maybe I think in this the case of Armstrong Baptist Church, it was a good opportunity for a congregation to sit down and figure out who they were. And I thought that Darrell, who was their interim or transitional pastor, I think is what he called it, was doing an amazing job. And for someone who's actually officially retired, this is a great way for him to continue on in the ministry. So this is a fun interview with a little bit different twist. If you're interested in learning more about the McNeils, you can find us online. I hope that you would like, subscribe, share, pass on, follow, whatever the language is on your particular social media, but or platform that you follow us on. That is so helpful in getting the word out about this ministry. I'm not advertising. I don't see a need because I think that this is something the Lord called me to, and so the growth that occurs is entirely organic and God-driven, using you guys as the catapult to recommend it to somebody else. So thank you so much for passing this on when you can and when you do. And without further ado, this is my interview with Darrell Bunch of Armstrong Baptist. Hey everyone, this is Chris McNeil, Ministry on the Move. Today the McNeils find themselves at Armstrong Baptist Church just outside of Durant, Oklahoma. Is it Durant or Durant?
Durant.
Durant, okay.
If you're from Durant.
if you're in the know.
Yeah.
And my guest today is Darrell Bunch, who is the interim pastor at Armstrong Baptist.
Yes.
Is that right?
Technically, I'm the transitional pastor, but...
even better, and we're going to certainly want to get to that. So how long have you been in the ministry, Darrell?
40 years.
Okay, so this is not your first rodeo.
No.
Where did you pastor before you came to Armstrong?
Was 25 years at Calvary Baptist Church in Durant.
In Durant.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you said Baptist. Okay. Is that Southern Baptist?
Yes.
Yeah. I used to work at Guidestone.
Yes. All right. Yeah. They take care of my retirement.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Back when it was the annuity board.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just as I was leaving, I guess they did that in 2001, 2002.
I don't remember. It's been a while.
Yeah. They were doing it as I left. We moved out to the country and got other plans for me. So,
yeah.
So 25 years at one church.
Yes.
And what, you retired?
I don't know.
I mean, you're here, right?
Yeah, I was retired for 2 weeks, and then I came out here to do some fill-in work, and the pastor passed away, and they called me as their transitional pastor, and we went through a grieving process with the church, and for about 2 months, and then we started in on the transitional phase of them getting ready for a new pastor. And that started, we came last June, this is April, so but it's been a rewarding walk with me. It's been a whole different ball game,
right?
Going through this transitional period.
Is this the first time that you've done the transitional period?
Yes. I did go through some training through the Oklahoma Baptist, and but we look at demographics in the area, because a lot of times the church doesn't realize even where they live. I mean, what they're surrounded by and the age groups.
It changed while they were asleep.
Oh yeah. Well, they got older too,
right? And
so we've looked at demographics. We've looked at ways that they can grow. And some good memories. We went through some, good things that the church has gone through in the past, and also some things that, some bad things, some bad times. We've looked at those things, and you just kind of carry them, and you let them, you put an idea out there, and then you let them talk and share. And it's not so much me telling them how they need to do it. It's more of them coming to realize these are the things we need to do, and this is the direction that we need to go. And so you just kind of guide those thoughts and let them talk it out.
I get the sense that you're sort of a facilitator through the process.
That's exactly right.
And this is not the first conversation that I've had, although it may be the first conversation on the air that I've had about the transitional period. So maybe you could take a minute and explain talk to me like I'm a 5-year-old.
Okay.
You won't be far from right. I mean, what that means, what the transitional interim is, what this idea is.
Okay.
Because I think it may be new for some people.
Yes, it is a relatively new program in the state that it's in now, especially here in Oklahoma. I came in and we, because Armstrong, the size of Armstrong, I asked for volunteers to serve on the transitional team. And we met every Sunday after church. Sometimes we had a meal. Sometimes we didn't. But we met for about an hour and a half to a few times 2 hours. And again, we just shared things. We shared a devotion every time. Again, talking about the future and God's ability to lead. And again, that's when we look at the demographics. That's when we would look at the church history, the records of the church, both from the association and from the state convention. And some of those things they didn't have any idea about where they had been, and the trends that had gone through the last 10 or 20 years. And then we just began to say, hey, what are you looking for? What kind of church are you looking to be? You know, what's the target group that's going to bring growth to the church? And through the demographics especially, we saw that within a 5-mile radius of the church, about 65% of the people fell into a group from 21 to about 42.
Oh, my.
And that's the group that has children and the group that has youth. And there's quite a bit of building that's taking place on this side of Durant, on the north side of Durant. And I don't think they were really aware of that. I don't think they drive, especially on the other side of the highway here. There's a lot of growth out that way, and it's all within 5 miles of the church here. And so they began to see that there's some hope, I guess, or you know, there's prospects out there that
Sure.
And then again, to help them to see and then help them to understand that there are ways that they can maybe attract those. That's probably one of the reasons that y'all are here today, because one of the discussions we talked about was the music and the worship, and things that would draw people into the church, just to come and see. And this morning, I think I shared with you that we had a couple that thought y'all were going to be here last week. And today I went and talked to them and said, hey, we're good. It's good to see you back again. And we kind of laughed about that. And they said, well, we're kind of looking for a smaller church to attend. And I said, well, we'll pray with you. And if this is where God wants you to be, well, you know, we'd love to see, you know, what God would do that in that direction. But again, I think that's probably one of the reasons that the people from our church went and listened to y'all in Ada, I believe it was.
I think so.
Yeah.
Either Ada or Ardmore, I can't remember.
I think it was Ada.
It was Ada. It was Ada. I know. Yeah, because I know where we were that morning.
Yeah.
We sang at the Agriplex.
Okay.
That morning, Toby Willoughby is the pastor out there and does this thing annually for a 3-county FFA groups from all the high schools in 3 counties. So there's about 600 kids that show up.
Wow.
Every year to this, and he invites us to come in and do the music.
Yeah.
He preaches, and then he feeds them all.
Okay.
And it's a tremendous ministry, and one that but then that evening we just went across town.
Yeah.
Is what happened. So I'm gonna back you up for just a second, because I'm curious where you work. When you're working as an interim, the point is to take an intentional hiatus and not jump from pastor to pastor, and to do some internalization, some looking at yourself as a church. Are you working off of a book? Did you go to a training shop?
I did go to a training, 1-day training.
Okay.
And our leadership and our convention they're really behind this. They really are promoting this and encouraging this. for the very reason that you said, because a lot of times they just take the first guy that comes,
Right.
you know,
Yes.
the first guy that looks good, the first resume
Yep.
that looks good. And through this, the transition team came up with a list of things that they wanted to do in the future, kind of laying out some plans for the church. And one thing that does is when they talk to prospective pastors, they can sit down with that and say, can you lead us in this direction?
Yeah.
And to see if they're going to be a fit for the direction that they feel like that God is leading them. And there was a lot of prayer that went in. It wasn't just discussion. There was
Sure.
a lot of prayer. As a matter of fact, we would divide up into prayer teams, and we encouraged them. And some of them did. They called each other during the week and pray over the telephone together, and. So there was a lot of prayer that went into this, making those decisions and putting together that transition report to the rest of the church. And the rest of the church agreed to it 100%. And of course, about half the church here was in the transition because we're a smaller church here. But I'm excited about what the future holds for Armstrong.
Yeah.
And the direction that they're going to be taking.
So, if I understand it correctly, the congregation, as it at least was predominantly older.
Pretty much. Yeah. There is some young adults, but.
Can you talk a minute about maybe the growing pains that you guys had to go through? I suspect. I'm just guessing, really, based on an abundance of churches that we've been in, and they all seem to be. They have similar stories. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
That there was some opportunity to stretch for the older crowd, ways that maybe were or are uncomfortable. Can you talk about what those conversations were like, or what?
There was a lot of talk about the music, and there is in every church that
Sure.
seems like they're moving transitionally, and there was never an intentional let's go contemporary
Sure.
attitude or mindset, but there was an understanding we probably do need to become a little bit more of a blended in our worship, but. There was some kickback from that. I mean, there was some, and actually, we're still trying to get over that hurdle.
Right.
And y'all coming today again. That was a positive step. I mean, and it. I think it opened the eyes. I pray that it does open the eyes of some that because y'all have a blended time of worship as well in y'all's presentation. And so I pray that they understand that, hey, this is worship too. I mean, it is. And songs don't make a church. I mean,
That's right. That's right.
It's, you worship the Lord, and as your daughter said today, that we need to maintain the memory of those that have gone before us.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's important. That's important. But also to look forward to new things, and that's again part of that transition is hey, we can't keep doing the same thing we've been doing, because if we do, we're going to stay the same place we are.
Get the same results you got.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have ever seen. It's starting to make more and more sense to me. Have you seen the Pixar film Up? It's an animation from probably 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And the first 5 minutes of it is a beautiful story of a young man and a woman, and they can't have kids, and they grow old, and she passes away in the first 5 minutes. It absolutely brings me to tears just watching this 5 minute short. But then, and I don't even remember his name, but he's the crotchety old man, right?
Yeah, I think I remember what you're.
That every kid has ever had to deal with.
Yeah.
And he wakes up one day and he walks outside his house, and the house that used to be out in the country is now in the middle of a city, and he's got high-rise apartments, and he's the guy holding out.
Yeah.
Right? He's not going to, and his life is interrupted by a little kid who doesn't have a dad. And the kid is wanting to do something for Boy Scouts, and and they wind up on an unsuspecting adventure together. And how the old man just blooms in that situation because he's got something other than his grief to live through.
Right.
And that's what I think about when I think of a church going through this, is that if they can take their attention off of themselves long enough to see that there is another great adventure out there that they could be part of. It's not comfortable.
Yeah.
It's going to cause their muscles to stretch, the muscles that in our old age we're trying to atrophy. But if you'll have it, there's a kid out there who needs you.
Right.
Yeah.
That they can minister to. I've used an illustration with the team here. There's a neighboring town that had an old church, an old traditional, and wasn't going anywhere. They're going to be the way they were, but something changed in there, and they got a vision for attracting younger adults and youth and children, and they were hosting a concert. And we took our kids when I was at Calvary. We took them to that concert. It was a Christian concert, but it was a little bit loud and a little different genre of music than they were used to. And we walked in, and there was these older people, these grayheads, as we call them, that we've become.
True story.
And they were serving them food, and they were serving them drink, and they were just smiling and so joyous.
Right.
And then I noticed, of course, the bands were already playing and stuff, and I noticed that they were all wearing
earplugs.
Earplugs, yeah, they were all wearing earplugs.
The gray hairs, I take
yes,
it.
the gray hairs were wearing earplugs, and so we do have to get out of our comfort zone. And everywhere that we look in the Bible, the disciples and Jesus Himself got out of their comfort zone.
Yep.
And I don't think it's too much for us to say, hey, I'm willing to get out of my comfort zone if I can reach somebody for Christ.
A lot of times it looks an awful lot like a fishing boat, our comfort zone.
Yeah, we don't want to get out of it.
But Jesus is calling us to come walk on the water, and that's a lot more fun.
Yeah. Well, we also, you said a fishing boat. We also are supposed to catch fish.
Well, we are fishermen. That's true. It's a very good point. So you guys are kind of turning the corner now, and you've sort of got your report, and now you're taking resumes. And
yes, taking resumes, and we're taking word of mouth. I've always felt stronger about word of mouth recommendations, and I have resumes myself. But we are taking resumes. Yeah. As a pastor, I've never gone anywhere where I sent a resume. It's always been
word of mouth.
Word of mouth. Yeah. And people just showed up to hear me preach, or something. And God I always felt like that God was leading me to the place that He took me. And but anyway, we're praying. We continue to pray, and church prays just about every service for their new pastor. And again, I love these people. It's going to be hard for me to leave here when the time comes, but I know that time's coming, and I'm praying that God will use me in a similar circumstance with another church. It's been very rewarding. Sometimes as a long-term pastor in a church, things move so slow, and you can't be as direct.
Right.
And I hope you understand what I'm saying there.
You're the shepherd.
Yeah, you're the shepherd.
You're not the guy. You're not the consultant coming in and saying, "Hey, if you want to do it this way, here's how it has to go."
Well,
you have to go preach their funeral, right? And
And so it's been rewarding to see the church accept the things that God's put before them and say, we need to change. We need to do this. We've also had good results evangelistically since we've been here. I think we've baptized 18 since we've been here.
Wow. Wow.
And of course that's God moving. And
right.
So I sometimes I think churches, especially small churches, feel like that that hey, we really can't do anything for the kingdom. You know, we're just out here, and we're existing, and that's our duty, just to exist.
Waiting to die.
Yeah, waiting. Well, yeah, and I think they've seen that. Hey, God still is using us.
Yes, He
you
is
know.
and does.
And
Yeah.
you saw the young lady that came this morning.
Yes.
She was the first of her family, and there was, I think, 5 or 6 that came and accepted Christ just through her, you know, through God working through her. And the church has seen, you know, God moving in that direction. And I think that God's done a work in the church as well with the people of the church, especially the transition team, those who've been involved.
How much, what kind of a role do you play in the selection of a new pastor? Are you totally hands off?
No, well, to start with, I helped take them through the training for that as well. Now, I wasn't the only one. We have some regional representatives from the state, and then our director of missions. They also came. Both of those came out, and we took them through some things that they need to know. Procedures as far as looking for a pastor, and things to watch for, and things, you know, that they need to be aware of. But since that time, I have received some resumes, but I am not an active part in that. That's church business.
Right,
that's,
right, yeah,
that's
yeah,
their
yeah.
business.
Sure, and I can see where it'd be terribly uncomfortable.
Yeah. Now I've told them if you want to ask me questions, I'm here,
Sure.
and I will help you if you ask me to. And they have asked me some things, and there's some resumes that they've got from guys that I know, and good guys. Some of them I think would fit. Some of them I don't know that they would, but
Sure.
And if they ask my opinion about a prospective, well, I'll say,
candidate
well,
or whatever,
this is all I know, you know, but this is what I do know. But no, that's their job. That's not my job. That's not part of my responsibilities. Yeah.
This is going to fork funny because there's 2 questions that are in my mind that I'm really interested.
Well, my mind runs and I chase rabbits. So
Yes, right. Yeah. So I wrote this down in another interview, but I didn't have the chance to ask him. But you were talking about the number of baptisms that you had.
Yeah.
And so I just jotted the note down. It says funerals versus baptisms. And I was sitting there thinking, I'm trying to formulate, that feels like a really important metric that you could sort of use to test the health of a church. Funerals to baptism ratio, or baptism to funeral ratio. But maybe that's not fair. What's your gut reaction on that?
I think there's some validity to that. I mean, if you're looking at the point of view that a church needs to grow to keep up with their mortality rate, you know, there's some validity there. In my ministry, my 40 years of ministry, I've seen years where the baptisms far outweighed the funerals.
Right.
But I've also seen years
The
where
other
the
way.
funerals,
Sure.
far outweighed. Here, I've only done one funeral here, and they've had other farmer pastors that have come in and did the majority of the funerals, but we haven't had that many funerals in the last year here. So I would say probably we've outweighed in new members more than what we have in
Graduating.
Yeah, graduating. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Graduating Christians or church members. Yeah.
I've had 2 barometers that I could tell the health of a church almost instantaneously. Now, I'm not saying that it's accurate. It's 2 barometers that I've used. One of them is an age distribution, right? If they're all 80, that's tough.
Those gray heads.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And by the same token, if they're all 30,
Yeah.
bad idea,
Right.
right? We don't need that. We need 20-year-olds, and we need
Yeah.
2-year-olds, and we need 60-year-olds,
Yeah.
and we need. And the other one is, and I think I've said it before on the podcast a couple of times, but the other one is racial diversity. We're going back to a church in oh snap, is it North Carolina or South Carolina? I can never remember where they are. I think they're in North Carolina. And if you're a member of this church, your flag of nationality is flying in the center. It says it's a church of 400 people inside the church, not outside the church. Inside the church, they want you to know that they support you. And there are 16 flags the last time we were there.
Wow.
And age integrated. And I think to myself, that's really amazing. It's quite wonderful. It's so refreshing to see age integration and then ethnicity integration. But then I'm wondering about this funeral to baptism ratio. Vodi Bakum said that, and this has been probably 15 years. Do you know who Vodi is?
I've heard.
Vodi said 15 years ago that we are graduating more youth pastors than at any other time in the history of Christianity. And by the same token, baptisms are going down. Now, again, this was 15 years ago. I don't know if it's corrected its course. I'm just repeating what Vodi said, but it makes me think, and it is something that I look at. You know, you walk into a church and you see, where are the 40-year-olds? Where are the new families? Where are the young families? Where are the ones with? And I was delighted to see all the little babies and here this morning, and that's something that I think should pain the church. Something that we want to.
That's one of the things that we did address probably first right off was the nursery and the children's ministry here was very weak, and they didn't have a nursery at all. I mean, there was no nursery. There was no. They have children's church, and they have a viable Sunday school program now for the children, for the younger children.
And I talked to Michael, and he's taking. Is that
he's,
what you're referring to? Yeah.
He was pretty well handling it before I came, though. I mean, and the church was. They had the workers. They just needed to be asked, I think, or need to have the vision to. Given
the framework.
Armstrong's a good church. It is. It's a good church. But sometimes people become inactive just because. I mean, nobody's asked them or nobody's put a need before them. And I do believe that you need a wide variety of people. A healthy church has a wide variety.
I'm sorry. Let me. I want to correct something because I can hear somebody arguing with me. Out there already. Chris McNeil is not saying that every church has to have 16 flags from other nations flying.
Yeah.
But what I do think is very healthy is for you to represent demographically the location that your church is planted in. And I do think that that's something that I can stick by. That if you're going to plant flags, then they need to represent the people in your community. Yeah. And if you're lopsided, maybe that's something to look at.
Well, that's something that hits home here because we do have a Native American population here. And the former pastor here was Native American. And active in the nation, the Choctaw Nation.
Oh, was it Choctaw?
Yeah.
Oh, we sang at their Easter celebration yesterday at the Capitol in
Tallahena.
Is that where it is? Tallahena, yeah.
Yep. But anyway, that there are some churches that are welcoming, and then there are churches that are not welcoming to diversity in that area. And it's some things that I've had to address in former pastorates, accepting anybody that comes through the door and loving them in Jesus and in Christ.
It's the thing that I keep telling people. You have to ask this question: where would you rather them go?
Yeah.
I know you find them undesirable, right? Maybe they stink or they.
Well.
But where else do they go?
Yeah.
If not here, where?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, and Jesus never turned anybody away.
Anyone.
Yeah, never
away.
turned. And he reached out. Matter of fact, I think more so to the undesirables than he did the,
right.
the desirables.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Especially reached out to those that weren't the religious people at that time. And sometimes I think we do become a little bit over-religious and not Christian, Christ-like. And but we're human. Us pastors, I think one of the things we say is that pastoring would be real easy if we didn't have to deal with people.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
That's what it's all about.
So what is on Darrell's plate when Armstrong finds a pastor? What are you thinking?
My wife and I have discussed that quite a bit. We would like to find a home base. I don't think that God's ready for me to go back to Calvary. They're in the process of getting a new pastor. They went through the transition period as well, and I was very excited about that for the church.
Yeah.
But this next month they have a young man coming in view of a call, and but I don't think it's fair for me to go back there.
Right.
This early. He needs to be the pastor for a while.
Absolutely.
So we're going to be looking for a new church home, a base place. And my wife probably will get involved in the ministry there.
Right.
I pray that God will allow me to continue to do this.
Well, that's what I was interested in. Has it been a satisfying experience I mean, Darrell, you've got 40 years of experience. You've seen a thing or two.
Yeah.
And I can't help but think, no, I know full well that there are other churches going through this process that could use mentorship.
And I feel like that too. I wrestled over a year with the idea of retiring, and honestly, I thought, man, I've been here for 25 years. What's the church going to do when I retire? And then God reminded me in my prayers with him that hey, this is my church. I can handle it.
Yeah.
And I think God still has plans for preachers my age.
Yes, he does.
We're not put out to pasture. We and God has allowed us to have experiences and knowledge and hopefully a little bit of wisdom.
Right.
Hopefully we've grown a little wiser over the years, and so to be able to share those things with churches that are seeking God's direction and maybe a change in their path a little bit.
Right.
It has been very rewarding, and I'm praying that God will allow me to continue to do that. And the doors are open through our state convention across the state. I mean, it doesn't have to be somebody within 30-minute drive or anything.
Right.
But that would be nice if it was. But I live 7 miles from here, so
it worked out well.
Worked out well.
What do you so take me, just kind of pull back to the 30,000 foot high level, 30,000 foot view. You've done this for 40 years. You've seen a thing or two. You've seen a change or two. You're a lot like me in the sense that you lived and worked in the church through the music wars. What is the greatest obstacle facing the Christian church today as we kind of look forward to the next 10 years or so?
Okay. Without a doubt, apathy.
Zing.
And, COVID didn't help that at all.
No.
Everybody got used to not doing anything, I guess, or not being involved. And so we need a movement of God's Spirit in our churches, and a wake up. And I don't know what kind of wake up call God's going to give us, but there needs to be a wake up call to our churches that hey, there are lost people out there that need Christ, and we can't just sit inside the church and expect them to know Christ. We got to reach out to them. We've got to welcome them. We've got to do a little bit of work to do that.
Yeah.
We can't just come to church and sit in the pew and and expect to win the world for Christ. And, he's called us to service. And without him, if we're the branches, we're not the vine. He's the vine. And so we can't do anything without him. And that again falls back to some apathy. I think the church has become Christianity has become more apathetic in their relationship with Christ as well. I had that conversation with my daughter yesterday. We were talking about people that went through the motions of church, and they came to church every Sunday. We've had that preached to us, and I've preached it myself. You come Sunday, but the rest of the week you're not
right.
You're not living for Christ. But anyway, that's an old story, but it's something very, very real today, I believe.
I'm afraid that it's painfully a continuing story. It may be an old one, but it's one that is present. I've had pastors call COVID a winnowing event. So I heard a survey recently that said that Wicca, or the pagan religions, are the fastest growing religions in America, not Christianity. We're going the other way. We're declining. Which is staggering to think about where we've come from. And on my watch,
and mine as well.
So as I guess what I'm saying is, as old of a story as it is, it's still a valid story. It's still, unfortunately, the case in which we find it ourselves.
And maybe worse than it's been. In the 40 years that I've been pastoring, that's become more visible to me in these latter years. And not that there's not good Christians or good churches. I don't mean that. And Christ hadn't changed a bit.
Right.
And the message hadn't changed a bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You got any silver bullets to how we fix it?
Have I wrote a book?
Right.
Yeah. No, my position, I'm not God. I'm a messenger, and my responsibility is to bring God's word to people. And I want to touch on something that has been so real to me. When I stepped away from my former pastorate and retired, although I'm not fully retired, but it opened up a new avenue of relationship with the Lord. And if there's somebody out there that's maybe getting ready to retire or something, I want to tell them that it's not the end of the world. I mean, as a matter of fact, it opens up a whole new avenue in your relationship. A pastor should always be having a relationship with the Lord,
right.
And I did that in the 40 years I was a full-time pastor. But when you retire, you're not hurried in your relationship with the Lord. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's the same thing. There's a reason that God gives grandparents to children. Right?
Yeah.
Because they're not rushed like the parents are.
Right. And when you're able to spend more time, intimate time with the Lord, it makes a difference. And of course, we all need that. I mean, but it's become more real. I think more. It's always been real. I don't know. I'm searching for the words to describe it, but it's just been closer.
Palpable.
Yeah, maybe that's a good word for it. But it's been vibrant. More vibrant probably, and that intimacy has grown, if that makes sense.
Yep.
That intimacy with him has grown.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
Well, because in the mornings, my wife still works, and so she leaves a little bit before 8 to go to work.
You kiss her on the forehead and send her on her way.
Yeah. So it's just me and the cat, and most of the time the cat goes outside. So then it's just me and God.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever have that.
You have 10 kids.
Yeah, right. And grandkids already.
Grandkids,
so
yeah.
I don't know if you heard me telling someone today that if my children have 10 children each, I'll have 100 grandchildren.
You'll have to start your own country.
That's it. That's what in fact, I said, I don't want to be my own tribe. I want to be my own nation. Yeah. So I'm gonna ask you a question. This is a fun thing that I've started doing. Leave a question, ask a question, and so the last pastor that I interviewed asked this question.
Okay.
And then when we're done, I'm going to ask you to write one down.
Okay.
For the next pastor, whom you'll never meet, or this side of heaven. But maybe when we all get there, you guys can laugh about
Sit down and talk about it.
Yeah. So the question is, where do you find strength? Now remember, this is a pastor.
Yeah.
Okay. Where do you find strength to persevere in difficult, trying circumstances?
Yeah.
And by the way, we all know that the answer is the Holy Spirit and Jesus. So I'm gonna thump you down the road further than that.
Well, your wife spoke on that this morning, and y'all sang about that as well. We don't always just jump toward the answer. I mean, we do wallow sometimes in our misery or in our problems, but ultimately, I think the Lord allows us sometimes to go through those difficulties so that we allow Him to prove who He is. And even in our adversities, I find that I can be unhappy and I can be grumbling about where I'm at and what I'm going through. But yet God is able to overcome those things. And He overcomes those things when I let Him overcome those things. When I say, okay, God, I can't handle this anymore. I'm tired of this. Here it is. Yeah. And
finally, he says.
Yeah, and that's what He said. That's basically the way it comes out, because he doesn't always fix everything, but He always comes through for me, okay, for my good. And there's been trying times, death in my family, and probably my wife right now is in the hospital with her brother who has a tumor behind his heart and may not make it. We're going through that right now. But the last thing I said to her yesterday was, "Babe, I know that you know this, but God's in control." And I haven't faced any problem in my ministry that God ultimately wasn't in control. It takes me some time sometimes to realize that, but.
And the funny thing is that those of us that grew up in church or we've been in the ministry or whatever, we know the answers.
Yeah.
We know the answers in our head.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is a far different thing to know it in your heart.
Well, it's one of my favorite passages of Scripture, too, is in Romans chapter 7, where Paul said, I will to do good, but I do it not. Right. And he wrestled with the flesh. And sometimes I take comfort in that,
right.
that, hey, this great man of God struggled with circumstances and problems and probably doubts sometimes. I think pastors, sometimes we act too spiritual on the outside and we don't let people know that, hey, we wrestle with circumstances and problems in life. Yeah. We're still flesh.
That's right.
Yeah, but again, that relationship with the Lord ultimately is what brings us out of those things, and only when we trust Him. And again, I think sometimes God allows those things to come so that we can go, hey, God, I need to draw closer to You.
I'm pretty sure He does.
Yeah, and that's part of that chastisement maybe that you talked about this morning.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
My daddy used to thump me on the head. I sat behind him. I sat in front of him in church, and he would thump me on the head when I'd get to misbehaving. And I think sometimes God kind of thumps us on the head.
He does. Can I have your attention, please?
Yeah.
That's exactly what He's doing.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to finish this off with what I call the speed round.
Okay.
It used to be fast, and now it's not.
Well, you're talking to preachers. So
that's exactly right. And the questions changed from season 1 to season 2. So. some of them will be quick, and some of them you just take your time with. I'm not in a rush.
Okay.
Gaither or Tomlin? Oh,
Tomlin, probably Tomlin. Yeah.
Is that because you're the transition pastor?
Yeah, probably so. No, I like praise and worship, but
sure.
Gaithers too. I've been to Gaither concerts. And I like a variety of different music, but probably if I had to choose between the two, Tomlin. Yeah.
All right. Apple or Android?
Apple.
So you're on a desert island. What one book of the Bible do you have with you?
John.
Third.
No, St. John, the Gospel of John.
Yep, you're the third pastor to answer John.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've gotten a lot of Psalms. I've gotten Psalms. I've gotten Hebrews. I've got no other gospel.
Well, John was a beloved disciple,
right?
And I think he knew the heart of Jesus maybe as well as anybody else that walked with him.
Well, the other three were so synoptic, right? I mean, they. And this one isn't. He comes at it from a different perspective than the other three.
Yeah, I'm probably not as like John as I am maybe Peter, because Peter
with the foot-shaped mouth.
He had the big mouth, and that's me. I have a big mouth. But, yeah.
Same island, same scenario. What one extra biblical book would you have on you?
Exodus, I think. If I had to.
Sorry.
Exodus.
Extra biblical.
Oh, extra biblical. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Extra biblical. Man, I don't read a lot of extra biblical.
Well, now, is that your bookshelf?
No.
It's not. Okay.
Here. No, mine's at my house, and I gave away a lot of my library.
Because I'm thinking, man, that's an impressive bookshelf over there.
No. I Robinson Crusoe. I enjoyed reading that.
You're the second guy to answer something that wasn't a spiritual thing, right? The other guy said Lord of the Rings, or or The Hobbit, or something.
No, that was my son. I don't know.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. Because I intentionally left the question ambiguous because I'm not sure where you're going to take it.
I hadn't thought about that.
Okay. What occupation? Oh, sorry. Are you in the Old Testament or the New Testament right now? And I'm thinking of in church, not your personal devotion.
Right now we're going through the book of Hebrews on Wednesday night. We just finished up Revelations. They asked me when I came because
that's right.
There was a member here that was also a member at Calvary when I went through the Revelations, and she mouthed off about it to her Sunday school class, and they all came to me and said, "Hey, would you teach us through Revelations?" So,
is that the first time that you've done it, or the 20th, or
probably the 5th time in 40 years?
And just for the record, how do you see this shaking out? Are you in the premillennialist camp? Okay,
and dispensationalist too. So I'm
okay. Really?
Yeah. But not totally dispensational. There's a depth of that I probably don't go along with. But
so it's a fascinating topic, and I'm probably boring anyone that's ever listened to this podcast because it's sort of a trope for me that I grew up being a post trip guy, but we sang at the Ark Encounter 2 or 3 years ago up in Kentucky, and David Jeremiah was the preacher that night.
Yes.
And some no name, right?
Yeah.
and in my opinion, he is the leading living authority on the pre-trib viewpoint, at least that I'm aware of. My mom and dad could care less that we sang with. Well, they might be okay with Gaither, but boy, when we told them that we sang and David Jeremiah preached, boy, they really thought we'd made the big time.
Okay.
But in listening to him, I'm not 100% convinced, but I am far more open to it than I once was. And I heard somebody say recently, I'm curious to your reaction, that one of the reasons, the church is yanked out. The whole point of this is that the church isn't here at the start of the tribulation. And my thought has always been that God has always taken his people through tribulation, not out of it. And I'm thinking of Noah, and I'm specifically in Matthew chapter 24, when Jesus says it'll be as it was in the days of Noah, marrying and giving in marriage. And people would point to that and say, oh, this is where we get our pre-trib theology from. And I said, it's a terrible place, because he didn't take Noah out of it. He took him through it. So dear friend of ours, pastor, pointed out to me something that after, I think it's Revelation 4, you see no mention of the church. Yeah. It's gone.
Yeah. You turn from the church to dealing with the Jews.
Yes. And then I heard, I listen to podcasts too, right? But on one of my listenings, we drive about 1,100 miles a week. So I have time, right, to listen. And that's kind of how I use it. I listen to either a sermon or somebody talking about the Bible. And one guy said that he really felt like pre was the way, because the church is getting, and he was pointing to the dispensational view where the churches are the ages. So, and now I realize that there's a lot of discussion about where to put the parenthesis, and I'm not trying to settle that at all.
Yeah, I can't do that either. I can't settle it either.
But he said, if we're in the Laodicean age, if we are the church of Laodicea, then the reason that the Lord has pulled us out before the tribulation is because we've become worthless. And that hit me over the head, because I feel like, at least in America, that's the way that we're going.
We talked about that apathy. The lukewarmness
yes, exactly.
of the church.
Exactly. So I'll spit you out of my mouth, he says, right? So I'm still not convinced one way or the other, but that was that helped me a lot understand the...
I don't argue with, because I have preacher friends in every camp.
Sure.
Yeah. And they're my brothers in Christ, and this is something that God will play out, and we'll understand it someday.
That's right.
We'll know completely. But also take Daniel in his 70 weeks, and 69 of those weeks have been...
They're done.
They're done.
Yep.
And we're living in the church age right now.
And that's the parenthesis.
Yeah.
And that hit me too. Yeah. So I have to apologize to any of my pre-trib pastor friends, because I used to not think it was very well constructed. Yeah. I'm wrong. It is it's a well constructed theory, and it may be right. It may not be.
And I agree with that. I mean, I'm not. That's not a hill I'm going to die on.
Yeah. Boy, that's well said. Yeah. Okay. What's your favorite musical? Oh, no, sorry. What occupation? I'm trying to get you out of here fast. I don't know why. What occupation would you have taken had you not been a pastor?
Probably would have followed my dad in carpentry. I enjoy. I built my house that I live in now.
Fun.
Yeah, and I enjoyed it.
Two pastors back to back, both would have been carpenters.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. Another one's in Texas. What's your favorite musical instrument to listen to or play? It doesn't matter.
Piano, probably. Yeah, I took piano lessons when I was a kid, but I wanted to play baseball more than I wanted to play the piano.
Do you still play?
No, I can play nothing but the blood with one hand. So
okay, all right. What do you do to relax?
I do some hunting and a little bit of fishing. Yeah.
What kind of hunting?
Deer and turkey.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I enjoy turkey. I enjoy the turkeys talking back at you.
Sure.
And coming to you. Probably the adrenaline rush is bigger with the turkeys than it is with the deer. The deer I have deer on my place now, and I feed them, and they come in. We watch them. I don't hunt them.
Right.
At my house.
Yep.
Matter of fact, I haven't killed a deer in probably 10 years. But we watch them.
I have never shot a deer. I wouldn't mind. It wouldn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
But I've probably cut up 100, maybe 150. I used to have a buddy that owned a deer and wild hog processing plant, and after church we'd go over and check on, see what hunting season was like. And there was one time in particular, he had 75 deer stacked up
Wow.
from guys that just dropped it off in his cooler. And I said, well, we'll be over here tomorrow night to help you.
Yeah.
You know,
I had the privilege of taking my grandson and teaching him how to deer hunt. And, and he kills deer now and brings them to me. And
oh, that's awesome.
And I help him process them. And then I help him eat them too. So.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the best part of it, right?
I make a lot of jerky.
Who wants to help me bake the bread?
Yeah. Right.
Okay. I asked you that one. What is your best tip for making up with your wife?
Is she going to hear this?
I don't know.
No, I'm conversation, communication, but being willing to not be right all the time, and letting the little things not become big things. And sometimes just saying, I'm sorry, I messed up. I said something I didn't need to say, or if she said something, I mean, we're both of us human. We both live together. We've been married 50 years. So
congrats. That's awesome.
Yeah. And so, we've had a lot of disagreements in 50 years, but, and then some stick to it, and it's, commitment and love. I love my wife. I hope she is listening now. I do love my wife, and I can't imagine my life without her. And so in these latter years, I think we understand each other better, and as some people would just stay together.
Yeah.
Because when you get married, you think you know each other, but you learn a lot about each other every day. Every day you learn something.
Wayne Watson said he was a singer. He's a Christian contemporary singer, sang with Sandy Patty and Lauren L. Harris, that kind of time frame. My formative years, and he said there's 4 words that keep any marriage together. And you thought it was 3, right? Everybody thinks it's 3 words. I love you. He said, nope, that ain't going to work. That's not going to cut it. 4 words keep any marriage together. There's no way out.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't imagine my life without my wife. And I think she feels the same way because she stayed with me.
Yeah, she's still here. Darrell, thank you so much. I'm going to ask you to close us in a word of prayer, and we're going to wrap this thing up.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for giving me your time as well.
Been a blast.
Okay. Father, again, I just want to come to you, and I thank you, Lord, for your plans that you have for us, Lord, that they're good and not evil. And, Lord, that you love us, and the plans that you have for us are to use us and to be a part of your ministry and a part of your work. And, Father, thank you for allowing us to share in the blessings of that. And, Lord, I pray that you would go with Chris and his family, and, Lord, you continue to lead them and guide them. And, Lord, I lift up Armstrong Church to you, Father, that, Lord, you would lead them to the person that you have for them to come and be their pastor. And, Lord, for anybody listening today, Father, I pray if they don't know Christ, that they would draw near to him. And, Lord, I pray for any preachers that may be listening, that you would encourage them. And, Father, help them to stick with it, to stay with it, Father, to finish the race, Lord, that you set before them. Lord, just walk with us the rest of this day. Thank you again for loving us, and thank you for Jesus. In his name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Darrell, thanks so much.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Ministry on the Move. I've been your host, Chris McNeil. To learn more about the McNeils, you can find us on the web at mcneilmusic.com, mcneilmusic.tv, themcneilproject.com, on Facebook at The McNeils, YouTube at The McNeils. We are on all of the usual suspects. God bless you. We'll see you next time. I got an A+ on my origami assignment when I turned my paper in to my teacher.